the popular one because it's a rider's circuit. It's got something of everything: flat-out straights, tight adverse camber hairpins where it's down to first gear, and even a mountain. At least they call it a mountain, but it's still enough to make the bikes leave the ground when they come over the top. Today's big race is for the magnificent King of Cadwell trophy. The weather here is terrific, ideal racing conditions, and we have a top-class lineup for this British Championship meeting. And in pole position, no real surprise, number 2, Brian Morrison on the left-hand side of your picture there. Brian Morrison on his RC30 Honda has had a highly successful season, winning all sorts of events, but going very, very well on this big bike. Number 19, number 8 there, and you can see Steve Spray, number 8, a privateer, desperately in need of sponsors. Steve Spray acknowledging the camera there. Number 5, young Trevor Nation from Salisbury, dare I say, young on the rotary Norton. Salisbury, the quickest man round. Thruxton, the quickest man round the Mallory Park circuit. Number 69, Jamie Whittam on the Suzuki, another sensational young rider. And he is the man who actually rode over Brian Morrison when Morrison stepped off at the recent Mallory Park meeting, and millions of grandstand viewers saw that. Darren Dixon, number 19, on the RG 500 Suzuki, Paget sponsor. Dixon from Folkestone in Kent has won every time the TV cameras have been present, back with Morrison. This is the man most likely, but Dixon will be in there, of course, trying to sort him out. A very, very star-studded field. Of course, this being the end of the British season means that a lot of the riders who are normally on the continent are here to contest this Cadwell Park meeting. Morrison has done an awful lot at home. He had a good ride last week at Donington. Finished 3rd in the World Formula One round at Donington. No mean achievement behind Neil Mackenzie and Roger Burnett, regular Grand Prix contestants. Riders off on their warm-up lap, leaving the start-finish area. The first bend into the left-hander is Coppice. Coppice is a fast 90-mile-an-hour bend on a slight uphill rise. The right-hander they're going into now, Charlie's Corner, and that's some coincidence because Charlie Corner is also riding in today's event. Down along Park Straight, the fastest part of the circuit, Park Straight, 150 miles an hour in the bottom of the hill on these big bikes. As they come down through the gearbox, the brakes go hard on into the right-hander at Park Bend. A short 100-meter dash along to Chris Curve, but really at the speeds they're going, it is one continual sweeping right-hander. They're dropping down the hill now away from Chris Curve towards the gooseneck, which is a right, a left, and a right again, which they then exit towards Mansfield, a 90-degree left-hander, which is tightened up even more because they then flick very, very tightly into the chicane before heading off down 90-mile-an-hour straight, the left-hander at the end of which leads them to the mountain. Now, the mountain has been here since Cadwell started 50 years ago. Puts the front wheel in the air as the riders come over there, pulling hard, heading away towards Hall Bends, into the wooded section. Can be a bit tricky here because the shadow is on the track never really dries out, it's damp and a bit cool. From Hall they go to the hairpin, the slowest part of the circuit, down into first gear, exiting the hairpin towards Barn Corner to complete the lap. On exiting Barn they will be in my sight on the start-finish straight, coming down to complete the lap. 2.17 miles of Cadwell Park, the outright lap record currently standing at 1 minute 34.3, 82.99 miles an hour. We shall be watching this race with a great deal of interest because the all-beating RC30 Hondas in the hands of people like Morrison and various other riders in the race. Carl Fogarty is out there on an RC30 Honda as well. Carl Fogarty riding number 63 today, who wrapped up the World Formula One Championship at Donington Park last weekend. Morrison on the hard right-hand side. These single swinging arm Hondas have been phenomenally successful this year. Across the front row, pole position, Brian Morrison. Next to him, Darren Dixon. Jamie Whittam goes riding number 69. Trevor Nation on that rotary Norton had some good results this year. And Steve Spray completes the front lineup of the grid. 30-second board will shortly be going up, and as I speak we're getting 30 seconds, so 10 laps to go for the King of Cadwell Trophy. Superbikes, capacity limit, 1300cc, the lights have gone, they're all away, heading up towards Coppice, and the left-hander, we shall pick up the leader as they head up towards Charlie's. Race one I saw in on the Team Green Kawasaki in the first four. Exiting Charlie's on that very, very fast section, number 5 there, that is Trevor Nation leading on the Norton, already some 10 machines lengths. Into Park, Trevor Nation from Salisbury, 28 years of age, outright that record holder for Thruxton and Mallory Park. The development on this Norton has progressed in leaps and bounds this year since Malcolm Heath took it to its first win at Snetterton last year. But Trevor Nation and Simon Buckmaster campaigned it very successfully. 580cc is the capacity accepted by the ACU, which is the governing body of motorcycle sport in Great Britain. But the FIM, which is the European governing body, have not accepted it at 580, therefore it is not eligible yet for international competition. Nation leading. Jamie Whittam there in second. On the Suzuki, Trevor Nation, Rotary Norton. Nation, number 5. Down goes the front. Riding with wide power, upside down. For those of you technically minded, upside down front forks, which greatly improve the handling of this machine, enables him to throw it from right to left and change direction very quickly. But Nation it is, still leading comfortably on his second lap. The right knee out, peeling the Norton over. Monocoque chassis. 20 machine lengths separate him from the second man. Up towards Park. Very positive first lap by Trevor Nation. Making it one bend, swings out of Park and into Chris Kerr. Hardly sat up at all, kept the machine cranked over around that very, very fast right-hander. Down towards the gooseneck. Exit through the gooseneck. Such is the lead that Nation has over the second and third men. And this is where the battle is at this stage. Mellor in second place, number 10 Phil Mellor, Jamie Whittam his Suzuki teammate, so Suzuki is second and third. Back with our leader Trevor Nation over the mountain for the second time. Stretching out that lead now from the two Suzukis. Having it all his own way so far. On with the front brake. Let's see if he gets anywhere near. This is the battle. Whittam goes inside, alongside Mellor. So Whittam, going into Coppice, has taken over second place from teammate Phil Mellor. Jamie Whittam in second. Phil Mellor down to third. These two had a ding-dong battle in the Formula One round at Donington last week. Mellor went out with a blown engine halfway through the race. Jamie Whittam in fourth was going very, very comfortably, and on the last lap his clutch gave up the ghost, so Whittam retired with 1 lap to do. 39 laps gone, a heartbreaking moment for him, but a good performance in world-class company. Look at the way Nation now streaking away from the rest of this pack, leaving them in his wheel tracks. Into Mansfield, through the chicane. What's still running on Trevor Nation. In second, Mellor still in third. Approaching the mountain, Jamie Whittam, number 69. A double wheelie, picked it up again as the front end came down, put the power on, drove on towards Hall Bends. Trevor Nation coming down now, the watch is still running. Heading down towards the line. Trevenation. 1:34.95, fractionally outside the lap record. So he still has it all to do, but he's riding a very, very comfortable race, very stylish, polished. The battle is all about the minor placings at this moment in time, as Nation streaks on to a very convincing lead. The two Suzukis fighting it out, second and third place, and a battle developing now. The rest of the pack closing up. And in fact, the third place man has changed. We have a new third place man behind Jamie, and a tremendous wobble, but he hangs on to it. Down goes the cautionary leg as Brian Morrison went through. That was a very nasty moment, a heart-stopping moment. Indeed, Brian Morrison up into third place behind Jamie Whittam. This is the way we thought the battle would go, but we reckoned without Trevenation and his Norton. And as I speak, he crests the mountain. An unassailable lead so far for Nation. The Norton really is going well. Can he set the outright lap record for Cadwell Park as well and put a third track record under his belt this year? Nation coming out of Bond. Down towards the start-finish area. The watch is going again as he crosses the line. Jamie Whittam goes over in second, Brian Morrison in third, and it's Darren Dixon, number 19, in fourth place. Dixon is going to have to work hard to get past these two because the Flying Scot, 29-year-old Morrison from Kirkcaldy, is breathing down Jamie Whittam's neck. Morrison leading the Superstocks Championship. Hopefully, and I say hopefully, subject to sponsorship deals, we'll be doing the Superbike rounds across the world next year. And you can draw your own conclusions as to how much expense is needed to contest World Superbike, World Grand Prix, in fact, World anything, with the travel costs, the enormous machine preparation costs. But Morrison plans to do it. He's a professional racer. 6 years racing experience under his belt, but it's all come good for him this year. Number 2, Brian Morrison. He's delivered the goods for Honda. Whittam still fighting off the Morrison challenge. Jamie Whittam, number 69. Morrison almost alongside as they go towards Hall Bend, and Morrison goes through into Hall. Morrison through into second. Can he do anything now about number 5, the Flying Trevenation on the rotary Norton? Race 1 there in the distinctive green leathers, but here is Brian Morrison up into second place. Jamie Whittam riding for the Mick Grant team this year, and will again be riding for the Mick Grant Heron Suzuki team next year, as will Phil Mellor. Nation having a brilliant year, riding a variety of machinery, but has delivered the goods for Norton on the rotary. Nation leading, Morrison up to second, Jamie Whittam in third, Darren Dixon up to fourth, Phil Mellor in fifth, and Steve Chambers in sixth. Nation leaving the rest of the field in his exhaust fumes from that flying Norton. Chicane. Trevenation really piling on the coals now. 4 laps to go. On his 6th lap. Jamie Whittam, Darren Dixon. Phil Mellor still there. Distinctive yellow leathers. Coming out of Barn Corner. Over the line again goes Trevenation on the Norton. Just look at that lead. Into Coppice, nothing at all to hurry about. Whittam in second, Dixon up to third. Morrison in second, I beg your pardon. Nation on the Norton. Dixon really having to work hard now. Some 400-500 yards now separates Trevor Nation from the rest of the pursuing pack. Treating Park and Chris Curve as one bend. Whittam second. Morrison has gone. Brian Morrison has gone from the equation. So Jamie Whittam in second with Darren Dixon breathing down his neck in third place. So Brian Morrison, number 2, is out of the reckoning. No mistaking our leader, number 5, Trevor Nation. A big wobble on the Norton as he crests the mountain. Into Hall Bends. Flicks it right, left, right again. Down towards the hairpin, stamps down through the gearbox, into first gear. Lays it hard right. Towards Barn, squirts it, down goes the suspension, front brake hard on, exiting Barn. The watch is still running. He is well outside the lap record, 2 seconds outside the lap record, but he has no need to hurry. But a screaming pack coming through. Whittam, Dixon, Mellor. And that's how Dixon through. The RG Suzuki had the edge on power and went past Jamie Whittam, so Darren Dixon, number 19, now up into second place. Jamie Whittam closing, he hasn't given up yet. Jamie Whittam still in third, but Darren Dixon, who's won every race so far that the television cameras have covered, looks about to have that record spoiled because he can do nothing about Trevor Nation, who has made this race his own from the first lap. Into Mansfield. And the chicane looking immaculate. The Norton behaving itself perfectly. Responding to Trevor Nation's every whim. Twitch of the controls. Rising out of the seat. Picks the front wheel again as he puts the power on. Into Hall Bends. An impeccable display of riding skill by Trevor Nation and a demonstration by the Norton camp that they can really screw a Formula One stroke superbike type machine together, and it really opens up the prospects for this machine. If it can only get international recognition, the FIM will agree that capacity limit to allow Norton to contest the World Superbike or the World Formula One Series, then that really opens up their opportunities. Everyone in Britain has to agree that Norton has it together. Second place man, Darren Dixon on his Suzuki. So Norton leads, Suzuki second, Suzuki in third. Comfortably in second. And the race is really all about third place. Dixon looks comfortable in second. 4 men are locked together for the third place battle. Nation has made this race his own. With 2 laps to do, next time Nation comes round, the last lap flag will be out. Darren Dixon from Folkestone will get the same treatment. And the race is all about third place. An outstanding race by Trevor Nation. A good performance by Dixon because he battled through. That's where the battle is. That's where the action is. Behind Darren Dixon, there's a squabble going on for third, fourth, fifth, and sixth place. That's how close it is. The last lap flag out on his last lap. The distinctive yellow leathers of Dean Ashton were showing in that tussle for third place, so he's in there fighting. swept away, totally demoralising the opposition, cruising round on what is almost now a victory lap. Another win for the Norton, a good win, leaving the Japanese opposition really struggling in his wake. Half a lap to do. Dixon, this is where the battle is. And Whittam has been passed, so we have a new third placeman in the dying seconds of the race. We have a new third placeman heading towards the mountain. Trevor Nation goes through Hall Bends for the last time up towards the hairpin. Out of barn. The checkered flag is ready. An enormous wheelie, a triumphant wheelie, superb machine control by Trevor Nation over the line to take the win. Darren Dixon comes over in second. And it's Carl Fogarty, the new Formula One champ, who came home in third place. Carl Fogarty took third from Blackburn, 22 years of age, 4 years a professional racer, but no mistaking the leader. Trevor Nation, hand in the air, number 5.
Certainly the quickest anyhow. Well, we meet a few special breeds in this series, but none more special than the motorbike men. The commitment, the speeds and the risks are absolutely incomparable, and I think we're going to be demonstrating that here. A variety of racing in the Race of Aces meeting from Snetterton. It's sponsored here by the Snetterton Sunday Market, another big event. They say it's the biggest market in Europe, but certainly not in the risk business. Well, the Race of Aces is where we start, and that's a one-off event, a bit like the Race of the Year at Mallory Park. It's not for British Championship points, it's just prestige, and if you win it, you're certainly among a special lot of fellas. Mike Hailwood, Giacomo Agostini, Phil Reed, Mick Grant, Barry Sheen, Wayne Gardner, Roger Burnett, Roger Marshall. That really is the big league. And it's a good time to be here because it's the 25th anniversary of the race. Jamie Whittam won the race last year. He's from Huddersfield. He's on the front row of the grid again today on his 750 Suzuki. And if he wins it twice, he really will be in elite company. But in fact, only Mike Hailwood in the 60s, Paul Smart in the 70s, Mick Grant in the 70s, and a fellow called Keith Hewen in the 80s have won it twice. Keith Hewen joining our commentary team today. Keith, in fact, from Waterston North Ace, you almost won it 2 more times, didn't you?
That's right. I finished second a couple of times as well. We've had a very good career as far as Snetterton's concerned. Most of the people here know me very well. I started my club racing career here, so I suppose it's not really unusual that we have run it twice.
But this is a track where it's easy to be quick, but very difficult to be fast, isn't it?
Absolutely. I mean, the 2 times I won it, I was on Yamaha 1 year, and I rode for Suzuki on a works bike in the 2nd year that I won this race. It's technically a very difficult track. Those who don't put the mileage in here don't get the best from their bikes. It's all about quick exits of corners. If you can get the exit quick, then you're up the straight quick, and at the end of it, you'll be in front of everybody else.
So is the Norton the out-and-out favourite?
I would say that yes, the Norton is the out-and-out favourite. It's definitely the quickest motorcycle. The 2 guys that they've got running, Ray Stringer and Steve Spray, are probably at their peak at the moment. They're both riding very, very well. And I feel that the bike is well capable of winning, providing it stays together. OK, first thing we want you to do is to take us around the circuit on a quick trip. That'll be my pleasure. Here we are then on Ray Swan's Kawasaki, approaching the start and finish line. There it goes. Now we're heading up into Rich's Corner. This is about a 4th gear corner on the big bike. Very, very fast, very, very smooth, double apex, swinging out there into the dirt and back into the apex again. Now we're dropping down to Sears, real late braking manoeuvre. Doesn't matter if you overcook it, there's plenty of runoff here, so if you got into a trouble, get the gas on as early as you possibly can, out onto the dirt if need be. Probably down this straight now, we're on the Revit straight, we'll be touching about 150 mile an hour on these motorcycles. Bit of vibration, bit of wind, very wide, lots of passing room. Get in the slipstream as much as you can on these bikes and any other motorcycles. Down here into the S's, whoops, there's Race One's teammate on another Kawasaki, just showing him his pipes. Down into the tight part of the S's here, 2nd gear, flat out again under the bridge, little wheelie perhaps. Down towards what they call the bomb hole. Very well-known place, this. It's about, I suppose, 90 miles an hour through the bomb hole, but it's a death-defying stunt through there because the barriers are very, very close. We're now into Coram, accelerating through about 120 miles an hour, right on the side. Very, very wide track. Flick looking left now for Russell's Bend. Difficult bend, this one, where you can come out onto the curve at about 110 miles an hour, flat out as hard as you can up the hill to finish your lap with the start and finish line now.
Right, it's a strong field, but here's one or two you might want to look out for. Steve Manley from Clacton on a Yamaha, Grand Prix experience and a real favourite here at Snetterton. Terry Reimer, 22-year-old from South East London, one of the Loctite Yamaha team, certainly in winning form, but he's still recovering from a damaged shoulder. He's on the front row of the grid, and so too is the fastest in qualifying and the favourite. He broke the lap record yesterday. Steve Spray from Nottingham on the JPS Norton, the revolutionary bike which has brought a great British name back into motor racing. Right, that sets the scene. The question is, will British be best here as we look for an ace in the pack and join commentators Keith Ewan and Chris Carter.
Trevor Nation, the man who should have been riding one of the John Clare Norton, his place taken, of course, by Ray Stringer for this meeting, and Trevor Nation back to the ranks as spectator. The Race of Aces, one of the biggest races on the British calendar over the years, 12 laps ahead of the field, the Norton's red-hot favourites, and the engine noises rising to a crescendo, and away they go, and it's Terry Reimer. No, it's not, it is Reimer, yes, Reimer who leads, but there behind him, the distinctive black figure, number 20, Steve Spray on the Norton, looming there on the black, but he's pushed back to third place, but look at the Nortons go. It's Terry Reimer who leads Steve Spray in second place, then it's Steve Spray and Ray Stringer on the Norton. Steve Spray goes through, there's the RC Hunter, but look at the Norton go, and there goes the second one. Well, there the Nortons go through to take the lead in the Race of Aces, but a lot of smoke coming out of that bike, Keith.
Absolutely unbelievable power, but have they shot it? I mean, he only has to over-rev it just a little bit. They're both trailing. There's something going wrong with these bikes. Chambers goes through.
Well, maybe they're just worrying about the tyres being a little bit cold. Steve Spray then goes through. We can see it again in just a moment, perhaps. And a chance to see again that overtaking manoeuvre. Chambers still out in front ahead of Steve Spray. And here we go again. There's Chambers going past Terry Reimer, the privately entered Honda going past the factory Yamaha. But look at those Nortons go past. 1, 2, Spray and Ray Stringer.
And the Japanese are going to absolutely hate the two British Nortons just walking away from their cream motorcycles that they produced this year. I only hope that Norton can keep it together, and they do this well.
Out in front, number 20, Steve Spray. Behind him, the stand-in John Clare Norton rider. Then Steve Chambers there, number 6. Behind him, 69, Jamie Whittam on the Durex Suzuki. Then it's Martin Phillips, I think, in 5th spot, and Terry Reimer is 6th. And again, more steam, smoke, whatever it is, we shall soon find out. But whatever it is, it doesn't need to be slowing down, does it? Whittam there, under pressure from Martin Phillips. Behind him, number 3, Terry Reimer. 20, there's your race leader. Behind him, number 5, then Chambers, then Whittam, then Mark Phillips, then Terry Reimer. Oh, and a big slide there. We were nearly eyewitnesses as Mike Davidson, the local club hero, the man who's been going so well at club meetings here, tried to join in with the big boys, and that was Mike Davidson, close to disaster, Keith.
He was on the gas, he got the tyre sliding, he held it ever so well, spat him out the seat a little bit, but modern chassis technology kept him going.
Well, already this afternoon, the Nortons in the hands of the man out in front at the moment, that Steve Spray has lapped in 1 minute 6.9 seconds. That is an astonishing performance. There's the two Loctite Yamahas, but of course the boss of that Loctite Yamaha team, Steve Parrish, not here today to watch it, Keith. He's run away to drive his trucks at the German Grand Prix. We shall see him in action on the wheels of the Truck Grand Prix at Silverstone, but why should Parrish run away from this meeting?
I don't know, but as far as I understand it, the riders have been allowed to have new tyres for this particular race, which is quite unusual. It's obviously because Steve's away.
Parrish unable to keep his hands on the team purse strings. If he goes away, the mice will play. And Jamie Whittam in trouble. Jamie Whittam in trouble. Hands in the air. Jamie Whittam is in trouble, and the chance of Jamie Whittam adding his name to the Race of Aces for the second time this year has gone.
Well, that completes a very, very frustrating weekend for Jamie. Hard luck indeed.
And there's Jamie Whittam touring in. Well, what a disappointment for the young man from Huddersfield in Yorkshire. Well, his chance will come again. It's over this time, but, well, his chance will come again, man.
Race 1 was in there as well, by the looks of it. It looks like race 1's out of the race.
So, the race over for Jamie Whittam and race 1. Oh, and the faller there, that's Davidson. We saw him. Mike Davidson, the local hero. He's had such a good year at Snetterton. He wanted to mix it with the big boys, and we saw him earlier, Keith, with that big slide when the back tyre stepped out. It was a bit of a warning, but sadly he didn't take any notice of the warning. They obviously a bit winded, but the first 8 people with him. And the red flag is out. The race has been stopped as the leaders come round to complete 8 laps. So the race of aces temporarily stopped. The cross flags going out all around the circuit. And the right decision, I would say, with oil on the racing line, better to be safe than sorry.
Nick Jury, Mickey Davidson's manager, what was the problem? Has he had problems with the tyres on this surface?
We've had no problems with the tyres whatsoever. You don't know whether it's for the tyres, engine, you just can't tell at this early stage, unfortunately.
He hadn't got too much experience of slicks, though, had he?
No, basically the first race, major race on slicks, and we've had no problems with them at all. He's been running really well on them, as you saw. He was in 7th place, or was it, yeah, 7th place. We just don't know.
And he'd done particularly well here on this circuit too, hasn't he?
Yeah, he's leading the Champion of Snetterton series at the moment. He's hasn't been beaten yet on this track in the Champion of Snetterton series, so I don't think I'm going to put it down to tyres yet.
Well, fingers crossed. Let's hope he's okay.
I hope he's all right too. Thank you. I must go. Thanks.
Colin, let's cark the course. What's the situation now? What happens next?
The situation is that 7 full laps had been completed. It's a 12-lap race. They must now go out and race for another 5 laps to complete the race.
So the second part of the race of aces, this one over 5 laps. The times from this added to the times as they stood at the end of the 7th lap before the race was stopped. Terry Reimer, one of the big names, has decided not to start. He thinks his tyres are not good enough to do the final 5 laps. We'll talk about that in a little while, Keith Hewitt. Out in front as ever goes number 20, Steve Spray. The rest of the pack storming through behind, a little bit depleted. People like Jamie Whittam, of course, not able to start. They weren't in the running. There goes Steve Chambers storming through on the inside. And Chambers looks as though he's already gone up into 2nd place. Mark Phillips about to go. And there is the other Norton. That is like a missile, Keith.
I've never seen anything since I've been racing or commentating on motorcycle meetings. I've never seen anything that much faster than everything else in the field.
Well, the smoke that is blowing out is apparently oil.
Yeah, from a breather. There's been 1 or 2 complaints from riders that have been behind the Norton, which sort of amounts to 99.9% of the rest of the world. So I think everybody's complaining about a little bit of spray coming from the Nortons.
Well, the only man that Ray Stringer didn't catch, and Stringer got into a little bit of trouble there. That gives Mark Phillips a chance to go through on the inside. Beautifully done by Mark Phillips. But that should be no problem for this rocket ship. There he goes. Past Mark Phillips. Mark Phillips using bravery, skill and all the rest. And Ray Stringer says, no problem, fella. We'll just turn this little thing on the right-hand side of the handlebars and I go past you.
Yeah, they don't have throttles on those Nortons, I've been told. It's got a switch on it. It goes on or off.
And when it goes on, boy, do they take off. Now, we're looking for a little black figure to come from the left-hand side of the screen. No, it's not there this time.
No, but it's
Steve
looming.
Spray out in front, Ray Stringer closing on Steve Chambers. Chambers in 2nd place. Mark Phillips is 4th. There is Ray Stringer. Well, he's seized the chance of this outing on the John Player Norton through the injury determination, and he's gone very well indeed. I think Steve Manley, we just caught a glimpse of number 7 there. Steve from Clacton-on-Sea. He's lying in 5th place at the moment.
Ray Stringer looks as if he's settled, and he looks like he's doing the most sensible thing possible, weighing up the situation with Steve Chambers. Steve Spray is master of the Nortons at the moment, as he's proving by being right out in front. Ray Stringer only has to sit there.
Well, there you go. There you go. I suppose when you've got a motorcycle that's 15, 20 miles an hour quicker than the opposition, that's how you do it, isn't it?
Well, he might as well make the most of it, because it very, very rarely happens in motorcycling. Steve Chambers tossing something away there.
I think it's one of the tear-off visors. And there, watching the action. Watching their son is John and Mary Chambers. Mum and Dad of number 6 there, and they must be well pleased with how their boy's going.
I'd be well pleased with him if he was mine.
Steve Chambers there, number 6, in 3rd place in this race, heading for 3rd place overall. And the 2 John Nortons out in front, but Steve Chambers mounting an attack in the closing stages. There's the leader, there's the 2nd place man, there's Steve Chambers, behind him Mark Phillips, Steve Manley on the 750 Yamaha, behind him Chambers on the RC30 Honda, Mark Phillips. This is the final circuit, the checkered flag is about to be made ready. And the leader, just a couple of 100 yards to go to the checkered flag. This 2nd leg, there's the 2nd place, number 5 Ray Stringer, the checkered flag for Steve Spray, winner of the race of aces. Behind him Ray Stringer, Steve Chambers finishes 3rd, Mark Phillips 4th, and Steve Manley in 5th place. But this has been a race dominated by the North, dominated by this man. He set a new absolute lap record earlier in the afternoon, and Steve Spray sets a new lap record in this one, 1 minute 7.8, and Steve Spray, the winner of the race of aces.
There it is then, the 1989 winner, Steve Spray, and a new lap record, 1.708 as well. Ray Stringer, his Norton colleague, 2nd. Steve Chambers, 3rd. Captain Mark Phillips from Lincoln, 4th. And Steve Manley from Clacton, 5th. Steve Spray, Ray Stringer, well done. Congratulations. Steve, give us an idea. What is it like to ride a bike of this power and acceleration?
It's bloody fast. Hard. Yeah, you know, I mean, like, we're getting a lot of... The tyres are sliding around a bit. You know, the tyres are working so hard because we've got like 150 brake horsepower power there, and I mean, the bike is very quick indeed. But, you know, we're doing the job, aren't we, and that's it.
Certainly are. Ray, a comparatively new experience for you, but it must give you a great thrill to pass so many people down that straight.
That's right, it's just awesome to ride. Steve's a master, but I'm learning, getting there.
But good fun for you both. Yeah. But some of the riders are saying that there was a bit of oil being sprayed out from the back, and Steve Chambers and Terry Romer weren't too happy about something. You got any comments on that?
Well, they were so far back, how do they know?
Each season, a particularly important race is designated Race of the Year at Mallory Park, and today's F1.
Especially when my husband kept saying how he told her so.
So she followed him to Lewis?
I don't know where she went. She came home one night and said she'd got another job and was moving out.
Never wrote you? Well, you've been very helpful, Mrs. Simpson. Thank you. And I'll be getting along, sir. There'll be a car here in the morning. It's just a formality of identification. I understand. I'll see myself out. Mother. Why was John Hammond fired, Mr. Blake?
We've been getting complaints. He couldn't keep his hands off some of the staff.
One of them being Joan Simpson.
Not one of the complaints. They seem to get on fine.
How long was she as secretary?